Hey, President Joe Biden reassured the American people and the financial markets that the country's banking system is still strong and safe. That follows the collapse last week of the Silicon Valley Bank in California, and then federal regulators shut down Signature Bank of New York. That was Sunday. The president said customers of those banks will have full access to their money, funds coming, the Federal Deposit Insurance Fund coming from that, which banks pay into. That means there's no cost actually to taxpayers. The question is, what's the potential impact for banking here in South Florida? Steve King's live in Palm Beach County after speaking with several experts in the banking industry. Steve?
Todd, that's right. I spoke with a registered investment advisor and a certified financial planner, and they say that the announcement by President Joe Biden and the U.S. Treasury means that most everyone who's deposited money, even into those failing banks, will have access to their funds regardless of how much money they had in those deposits. But the people who invested in those banks or lent money to those banks, they will lose those funds.
Depositors at this point have nothing to worry about, whether it's at Silicon Valley Bank or Signature Bank or any bank.
It's not going to affect their loss of income if they have money in a bank, because banks are usually secure and they're covered with insurance. And if you've got insurance on your money that you're depositing, I don't think you have much to worry about unless the bank fails. And even then, when it fails, they'll come in and they will protect you.
Experts say the banks that failed could not handle too many withdrawals at the same time, which happened in part due to fears from the dramatic rise in interest rates to fight inflation over the last 12 months.
A bank run is basically people not trusting or understanding if their dollars will be there when they need them. Right now, the government is getting fully behind an all-points effort to try and solve this issue and alleviate the fears that depositors have and create that bank run.
The experts we spoke with say while everyone will have access to their deposits no matter what, regulators are not going to cover losses for people or corporations investing in banks. But for everyone else, you should still contact your bank or financial advisor with any concerns. And again, over the weekend, the U.S. Treasury and federal government did confirm that they will cover 100% of deposits, even over that FDIC threshold of $250,000. Reporting live in Palm Beach County, Steve King, WPBF 25 News.